Okay.
We've all been there.
That temporary joy hit.
From retail therapy,
A sugary snack.
or maybe just getting lost.
In the social media vortex.
See, let's be honest.
That feeling fades. We're diving into something
A little deeper.
with Bishop Loretta Sanders' sermon.
Joy from the source.
For that enduring joy.
The kind that sticks around.
Even when the sugar rush wears off.
What I find interesting
Is that Bishop
of
Sanders
just vague platitudes.
about happiness.
She dives right into
Some vivid imagery.
from Isaiah 35
Painting a picture
of the lame leaping like deer.
and the mute tongue shouting for joy.
That's quite the visual.
It definitely makes you...
Stop and think.
What do you make of that imagery?
What's the connection to joy there?
It's about transformation and restoration.
Imagine the sheer joy
If someone
suddenly leaping with the agility of a deer
or someone
who's silenced.
finding their voice again.
These images represent
Profound change.
and the overwhelming joy that comes with it.
It's like experiencing joy,
Not just in the good times,
but because things are changing.
for the better.
It's that,
Wow.
look how far we've come.
We've
Feel that
heard
understand-
people describe as feeling a deep sense of joy.
Not
The
just,
fleeting, happy feeling.
but a much deeper emotion.
Exactly.
Bishop Sanders explicitly differentiates,
Between fleeting happiness
tied to external
and
circumstances,
this deeper...
more enduring joy.
So where does this enduring joy...
No.
I can't exactly bottle it up.
And pull it out when we need it.
Right.
Right.
And Bishop Sanders is clear,
That true joy,
isn't found
material possessions, or
achievements
it emphasizes that it comes from a connection,
with something larger than ourselves.
specifically from God.
It's like she's saying,
True joy comes from within.
not from things outside of ourselves,
And she points to Psalm 16.11.
where it talks about finding
fullness of joy.
in God's presence,
But how do you actually tap into that?
especially when life gets tough.
That's the million-dollar question.
And this is where it
It's
gets...
really practical.
Bishop Sanders uses this phrase.
Pressing in.
It's
An
not...
active choice
She connects
with that source of joy.
Yeah.
It's less about hoping for joy,
and more about intentionally...
seeking it out.
Exactly.
It's about actively cultivating
the connection.
to that source of joy.
That makes sense.
But it's
A
still,
little abstract
what does pressing in look like?
in practice.
That's the beauty of it.
It can be different.
for everyone.
For some,
Or meditation.
for others,
Could be acts of service.
spending time in nature.
Or connecting.
It's
You
about
know, Think
identity
what helps you feel grounded.
and connected to something.
Larger than yourself. It's about finding those practices.
It helps you shift your perspective
and connect with that inner sense.
of peace and joy.
Precisely.
Remember that image from Isaiah?
The desert blooming.
It's about trusting,
That even when things
feel barren or difficult
there's a wellspring of joy
within us.
waiting to be tapped.
That actually reminds me of
Looks
something.
like more lately.
Whenever I'm feeling stressed,
Or overwhelmed.
I step away from my desk.
And go for a walk.
In nature,
It's amazing.
how much even a few minutes
Surrounded by trees.
can shift.
My whole perspective.
There you go.
You found,
Like it looks like.
and you're tapping into something.
Powerful.
Connecting with nature.
Has a way of reminding us
My part.
than our immediate worries.
And isn't that of what Bishop Sanders
Yeah,
getting
that's-
at?
that's
This
it.
idea
It's about connecting.
with something larger than ourselves.
She takes it a step further,
Citing John 15.11,
where Jesus talks about
his joy being in us,
being complete.
not temporary,
And
complete.
That's a bold statement.
It makes you wonder,
Is that level of joy
really sustainable?
in our day-to-day life?
Can we really experience
It's like
just,
breathing it.
even when things are tough? Is there more to it?
That's a
We're
question
worth exploring.
Bishop Sanders seems to suggest.
That it's about
Of
consistently
nurturing that connection.
to the source of joy.
It's like tending a garden
It requires ongoing care.
and attention.
Oh,
It's not a one-and-done deal.
you can't just find
You
joy
can expect it to stick around.
without any effort.
You have to cultivate it.
Almost like a muscle.
You're strengthening,
Exactly.
and just like a muscle,
It might require different exercises,
or approaches
depending on the person.
and the situation.
So how do we figure out?
What those exercises does Bishop Sanders offer any
I'm
guidance?
talking about intentionally cultivating joy.
But it sounds like,
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
is Bishop Sanders on where to even start?
Well, she
Got a
does.
prescriptive list?
What she does offer,
A powerful nudge.
she encourages listeners
Right.
on their own experiences.
What helps you
Tap into that joy.
when it feels elusive? She's
Oh.
turning everyone
into their own.
Researchers.
I love that.
Exactly.
No magic formula.
Just honest self-reflection.
And what's fascinating is
This search for lasting joy.
this desire to
It's
connect
something larger
resonates even outside
of a purely
faith-based context.
Right,
It's like a human thing.
We all crave that.
Sense of belonging
And-
and purpose.
And there's so many paths.
to explore.
The Stoics,
For example,
which talked about
for
finding,
peace,
not by changing,
external
but
circumstances.
by changing our response,
Yeah.
focusing on what we can control.
It's almost like finding to view
That's it.
challenges through
Instead of letting
to
difficulties,
seal your joy.
it's about seeking that
Inner resilience.
precise
And that resilience can come.
from different sources.
Spirituality, even just our own,
Lived experiences. It
Mhm.
makes you realize
that no matter
what
the
your
short-
background or belief system might be.
this pursuit of joy
Mm.
is something we all share.
Absolutely.
And
what I find
admiring
Bishop Sanders' message,
is that it offers,
Oh,
even
right.
amidst difficulty,
it's not about ignoring,
the challenges of life
but about facing them.
with the understanding,
Joy is still possible.
even when things are tough.
So if we were to boil,
This whole deep dive, one core idea,
what would it be?
I'd say it's the realization
That joy isn't just something,
to stumble upon,
it's an internal state.
we can actively cultivate
It's about nurturing that connection,
to something larger than ourselves
however we define it,
and trusting
even in the toughest times
there's a wellspring of joy
within us.
waiting to be tapped.
I love that.
And on that beautifully said note
We've reached the end.
of our deep dive,
But before we go, one final thought for you.
to ponder,
If joy is a choice,
we can make,
even in the face of hardship,
could it be,
that's simply shifting our perspective,
on those challenges?
might actually change the
I'd
way.
experience them.
Something to chew on.